Thank you guys for coming here and getting together at the end of harvest to discuss what we've all been up to for the last couple months. Now that we've all had at least a weekend of rest, I'll let you know that I'm feeling really, really positive about this year. Like, I kind of flew through harvest feeling great throughout. Just everything flowed, the energy was there, the wines are there.
I agree. Beautiful vintage. It was a fast and furious one, which I think I saw right from the start that it was shaping up to be that way. Mm-hmm. That our vineyards were tracking so that Carnera Chardonnay and Howell Mountain Cabernet were all kind of converging into this one time. And so really was trying to stay ahead of the curve so that we were still picking when we knew things needed to come in. But in general, the quality is absolutely exceptional.
Did you find it fast too?
Oh, yeah. You know, we were got through whites, Sauvignon Blanc, early pick stuff, and then kind of sat around waiting for a little while. Quiet winery during harvest, which is interesting. Then we had, some warmer weeks. It was kind of fast-forwarded things. It's kind of interesting. Usually our valley floor stuff kind of comes in first. We kind of knock down Oakville, Rutherford stuff. And then mountain stuff is later. But this year, Mount Veeder was the first pick of the year, where last year was the last pick of the year. To your point of like fast and furious, we were like, okay, we gotta kind of get started here, and then it just kind of all happened. So we were pretty prepared for it. But a very condensed harvest for us, too, so.
I think, like, working with an estate, I'm probably pretty condensed. I started on August 30th, actually, with Reds, which is pretty cool, and then finished October 7th. So felt early, but I think historically that's actually average. Like, Chris, you're at a winery with a lot of history. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of tracked into that 10-year average almost. So we started with SB around August 19th. We wrapped up Reds October 11th. So like, it was nice. It was compact, but it was kind of spread out. Like each variety is kind of followed the trend as year after year, like SB, Pinot, Chardonnay, Cabernet. And I think it was a vintage where you could really make the wines that you wanted to. Like, again, extractability was great, so you could pull out as much tannin as you wanted, or you can kind of slow down. And so you can really make the stylistic kind of intentions you're looking for, and that was really exciting for us.
If you were going to compare it to another vintage, say like in the last 10 years, what do you think? I mean, it's early days.
I kind of feel like it's like a mix of 22 and 23 in that, we did have like a warm kind of pattern where that sped things up and kind of made you at least more cognizant about starting to bring some things in and, watch the raisoning, watch the sunburn in the vineyard.
Yeah, I started and then was like, woo.
We started and never stopped.
Yeah,
we started with Sauvignon Blanc on August 15, and then we wrapped up October 7, same as you, with fruit from our Susquehanna Mountain vineyard. So once we started, we really had no slowdown period at all.
No, it is hard. Like, I really enjoy those kind of harvests that don't have a break, because you can keep on running through with like adrenaline and energy and your head is down. I thought the vintage pre-harvest was tracking actually a lot like 2021 for me.
Agree.
With the warmth, with that heat that we saw in June, with the way that the flavors and the colors were so intense. But then it also has a wet winter. So it's a different vintage, and it wasn't small. Yeah. I think it's going to be, could 23, 24 be like an 18, 19 combo?
In my mind, it's that blend between 2018 and 2021.
Okay.
Where I kind of see those two vintages merging
like the density,
together. Exactly.
The density and the plushness with the focus and the precision.
Exactly.
Not bad.
And so much freshness, too. Across all varieties, there's so much freshness in all the wines, and it's so important. Yeah. So it reminds me of 21, that acidity, the brightness, the intensity, the things that you really love about wines.
Yeah. So we were kind of cooler year, wet spring. About mid-May, end of May, we got warm. Mm-hmm. And then we had that first heat wave in June, which kind of, preconditioned the vines to handle it. Yep. And then, depending on what your harvest window was, there was October heat, which is kind of crazy. Did anyone, I was pretty much done. I don't know, I didn't feel that as much. Did you see that, the wave, did it change?
Yeah, it for us, like, stuff on the floor seemed to handle the heat a little better, and we hadn't picked any Cabernet at that point yet. The October heat you're talking about. Our Oakville stuff, you would have never known there was a heat event. It looked beautiful, came in beautiful. Didn't see any degradation of color. Tannins are there, so no phenolic loss with that. So it was really nice.
That's why the vines always impress me, because you have these heat waves, but they're so resilient. They get through those heat waves, and again, no color loss, great structure, great tannins, the freshness is still there. It's like all those things that you want, it got through it, but it makes you a little bit nervous while you're in it.
Sure.
You just got to be patient and wait it out.
Well, I mean, that's like we're winemakers. We always have to worry about something, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not one thing, it's another. If it's not
for
heat,
sure.
it's rain.
Yeah.
Or how is your team working? I think I also enjoyed my harvest so much, not just because of the quality, but I probably had the best group of interns I have ever had, except for 21 when your sister worked with me. That was my top.
Of course.
But yeah, we had people, we're back to having international interns, we're back to having young people, and that brings in that energy. Did you guys enjoy your crew, or did you have a good team that came through?
We had a great group of people this year too. So yeah, I think that kind of energy when you see people pulling together through those really long days is amazing. And it never ceases to just impress me, the people who come to Napa to work in our wineries with us and what we accomplish at the end of the day.
Yeah, we had a great crew. I mean, we were going through construction renovation on site.
That's
so
right.
there's so many different challenges, and the team just stuck through, kind of focused on what we were there to do, is make great wines, right? And kind of got through that. So the team was amazing this year. Couldn't ask for a better crew. There's a great kind of neighborly thing that we did. So someone reached out, they needed a must pump. It was kind of during a heat wave, so they needed a crush, but their must pump died. And because we got new equipment, we were able to lend off one. So it was just a great thing to kind of open our hands and share something with people.
I think that's the best thing about Napa Valley, that I've noticed, that there really is this sense of community, and that when you have, you need to borrow the cup of sugar, does someone, have a pump or a hose?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're going to look back on this year pretty positive.
For sure.
I think that's a beautiful thing as we were talking earlier, the raw material of the grapes gave so much to us this year. Curtis, you were mentioning you got to make so many winemaking choices. And I felt that way too. You could constantly look at what was happening with your fermentations and pivot and make changes. So I feel like at the end, I'm gonna have so many amazing blending options because all the different lots that I was able to make have so many different nuances to them, because we could keep making these decisions throughout the process to keep making the wines more and more complex.
Did you try anything new this year with these opportunities?
We definitely did. We played around with some co-inoculation of bacteria and yeast and had some really good results with that. But we were doing a lot of work with different pump over regimes too, and just seeing with extraction, because tannin color was coming out so easily. And we wanted to work on some lots that obviously were really powerful, and then others that are more on the elegant side. So that, again, when we put blends together, we're gonna have a lot of beautiful range in our wines this year.
And it makes it interesting, because each tank you learn from the last tank. So you're tweaking your pump overs, you're tweaking what you're doing. You might tweak your bricks targets that you're picking at. So it's fun because you learn from each harvest, but then each tank you also learn. So it's you're just changing, constantly evolving, which is fun.
Right. And it did feel to the point earlier about the heat, I almost had 2 waves of harvest. But I think it has to do with where the vines were during that June heat wave, where they were. That was actually more kind of determining what the harvest chemistry was going to be. And then some later that are going to be more broad, which is really nice. And then you get to play around with stuff in the winery. Yeah.
Lot to look forward to for wine drinkers, wine consumers, people that love Napa Valley wine. 2024 will be, so long as we keep things on track.
No, I think it's
epic.
pretty safe, right?
Yeah,
It's safe to
absolutely.
say that that is true for whites and reds.
Oh, for sure.
And then too, we finished harvest, on earlier than the year before. So 23 was this long, late, almost like a slog of a harvest.
Are we gonna get there?
Are we gonna be finished? Are we gonna be finished? And this year, even for the vineyard, we finished early. Vines still had leaves, still have leaves on them.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was easy to winterize the vineyards. they are still going to have a great amount of like root flush, that like post-harvest growth, which is going to carry us through next year. So pretty positive.
And it's great for the crew too around the winery because like we're so busy, it was intense, it's harvest, and they kind of ended early. So now we can think about Thanksgiving, we can think about all these holidays, we can go trick-or-treating with our kids. So it's like all these fun things that normally you're so busy, you know? But
So does everyone here, we all do whites?
Yes.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Yep.
We all do Cabernet, we do Merlot, we do Cabernet Franc. Anything
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay?
We do
There's a
Chardonnay
lot
and
of
Pinot as
Chardonnay.
well.
Oh, you do everything.
Yeah, we have, there's 3 brands under our roof, and it's all small lot stuff, but we have a pretty good spread of, California. Yeah, we kind of beat ourselves up every single year telling ourselves that we're gonna do less and focus, but I'm a sucker for punishment.
I know, that
I love
is
doing
hard.
it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find, so as someone with Quintessa, I just do the estate, the 5 red varieties, and then Sauvignon Blanc. And so I found like quality and yield this year to be really good. But then I heard that it's not as equal around all the varieties.
We ended up pretty close to average across the board. I think set was just a little bit spottier this year, depending on locations. I think throughout the valley we saw a lot of variation. And then I think, to your point earlier, I think that June heat wave really kind of set some different patterns for us too.
Sure.
Yeah.
We were across the board pretty average, but it's weighted. Like we were heavy on Mount Veeder, light on Howell. Oakville was light. Rutherford was heavy. So, but when you look at like the total projected tons and total actually in, it's pretty even, but it's not even lot to lot.
Yeah.
So we kind of an interesting year in that way, but yeah.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. Did you have any trials that you ran this year?
Oh, I always do. I'm like you. I'm like, this year it's going to be simple. I'm going to be focused. And then I'm like, but what about this barrel? What about that? So I am pretty committed to concrete fermenters. There's quite a bit of those. Working, as you said, with like pump overs. I think overall, the theme this year was that extraction was just so easy. And in the blocks where I really loved the tannins, so I kind of make these decisions out in the vineyard. Like if those seeds are great, if those skins are great, then I'm not worried about over extracting.
Sure.
But generally I just do like pump overs, easy extraction, fast ferments for me this year.
Yeah, we ripped.
And really and I could like suspiciously good ferments. So let's keep that.
Yeah.
And things came in with, the first kind of half at least of harvest was lower alcohol conversions, and then the second half switched up. So why? I don't know. All native yeast.
Okay.
But then what I'm playing with most this harvest is terracotta amphora for aging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Really enjoying that for preserving this freshness that we talk about.
Whites or reds or both?
Both.
Okay.
But reds in particular. Yeah. So trying to think about how are we adapting our practices to match the years and the seasons and preserve that freshness
Sure.
in the wine.
So kind of like a neutral flavor, impact, but some oxidative
Exactly.
aging. That's cool.
Exactly.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, we got 10 new concrete tanks. So
Yes.
first time at Mondavi for reds. Loved them. They were great. At first, we were like, all right, so what are we going to do? We got to do one of each variety, kind of go. And once we started fermenting and tasting, like we were sold and like anything can go in concrete now. So super exciting. It was fun. It's fun to play with.
Aren't they great?
We're going to do some tastings of stainless steel versus concrete and just kind of see the differences. But yeah, it was fun. It was good.
There's such a great tool to play into the mix. Last year was my first year at Cake Bread. It was my first time working with concrete too, with the red tanks and eggs for white fermentations. And once you realize what they can bring to the wines, it's something you don't want to go back to.
Yeah.
Well, you need
All
both.
stainless.
But it is like you do need to learn that it's like you're like turning a cruise ship, not a little boat. So it's like, oh, okay, if I need to warm up this tank or cool down this tank, like I've got to add an extra 24 hours.
You can't flip a switch. You have to let it progress more slowly.
But then you also are like confident, like, wait, this concrete tank, like the concrete tank has actually got more thermal mass
Yeah.
even than the grapes inside.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about it overheating. Like
Yeah,
it's just gonna
super
take
steady
it
and
super
so
steady.
steady and
Yeah.
consistent, which is nice.
Hard to move, but steady.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
steady. And for whites as well. Those eggs are fun.
Eggs are good.
Yeah, eggs are fun. They like just focus everything.
Exactly. There's such a precision to the palate and a different dimension of the overall flavor that comes about. And that lees mixing that keeps going on during fermentation too just really brings so much base notes at the same time that they're a great tool to work with.
Okay, so if you had to think of 1 to 3 words to describe 2024.
I'd say fresh, focused, and delicious.
I gotta think for a while.
Okay, I'm gonna say precise, fine-grained, and focused.
For me, it's gonna be renovation. Renovation, freshness, and fun. It was a fun vintage.
You must be learning so much about construction.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I will say fast, expressive, and fulfilling.
Oh, I like that. Cheers, 2024.
All right. Cheers, guys. Very nice hanging out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.